The agricultural space is changing and the landscape of farmers out there is incredibly diverse. We are seeing more and more young people exploring the space of agriculture and showing that you don't have to be an old uncle, an older person for you to really be in this space and make a difference. And I'm so excited to be joined by an incredible young farmer from Limpopo. Cynthia, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Can you please tell us a bit about yourself? Cynthia, where are you from? How did you get into agriculture? And how old are you? I know they say never ask a lady her age, but you are young, you are vibrant, and you are inspiring so many young people out there. So tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Mokgobu Cynthia. I'm 31 years of age. So I'm from a family where they were running business ever since I was born. My parents were running a business, and I think I sort of inherited the love for farming and agriculture from them. Because growing up, my parents even drilled a borehole at the farm that I'm farming now. The first borehole they drilled in 96. So they wanted to pursue farming, but then because of little knowledge, and because back in the days knowledge was not as exposed as now, so they didn't have enough knowledge to take it to this point. So I inherited the love for farming from my parents, I would say, and business in general.
Amazing. And for you, you took that inspiration from your family, but along the way sometimes we might learn incredible things from our parents and not actually carry them over. You decide, I'm not going to continue this for myself. For you, what motivated you to stay in farming?
I will go back from growing up.
Yes.
My father did a business plan. I was in primary at that time. And then on that business plan, he wrote that I'm a secretary.
Oh,
so
wow.
I hold on to that. No,
yes.
At that time, I didn't understand what is a secretary. So I always imagined myself having my own business, So I think my father played a role for me in that regard. So for me, like the passion and the love for business, you always say I'm raising children who will be their own bosses. So here I am today.
Here you are today, a young person that is their own boss, and it's absolutely incredible. You mentioned something very powerful. You are 31. And when we think of the profile of a person in agriculture, so many young people out there think of this old man that is, or old woman that is on a farm, but here you are, young as you are, doing incredible things in agriculture. What would you say to young people out there that are a bit cautious or feel like, I can't go into farming, it's not for young people? What can you say to them?
I think it must start with you. Like, you must be passionate about whatever you want to do. For me, I was passionate about farming, so that's why I don't want to do anything else except farming. So I think they must also find their own purpose and what they are passionate about. If you are passionate about something, you will research about it more. So if their interest is more in agriculture, there are a lot of things that you can do in agriculture. It's not only farming, tending the soil, and you can be in marketing, you can do hydroponics. You can do research, you can be a soil scientist. There are so many opportunities in agriculture, so they must do more research, and then maybe they will find what they are interested into. And
when we think about young people and young people loving the idea of living a nice life, a nice life needs money.
Yeah.
So maybe one of the things that might make young people, to hold back a little bit from being in farming is them thinking that maybe there's no money. Tell us a bit about that. Are there great opportunities to really build wealth in the farming space?
There is money, but then the second generation or the third generation will get more money than I did. So you cannot get into farming and say, tomorrow I want to be a millionaire. No, it's not an overnight thing. It takes time, it takes patience, and the challenges will, make you want to quit. But then if you love it and you are passionate about it, and then you want to create a generational wealth, I mean, it's worth it.
So I just want to know from you, how old were you when you decided that farming is what I want to do as a business? So you inherited it from your parents, you learned so much from them, you were a secretary at a young age, your father put you in the business plan, but when did you decide? How old were you when you said, I want my own business plan?
So after I matriculated, I came here in Gauteng. So I studied Ornamental Agriculture at UNISA. So from my first year, I volunteered at Sanbi in Pretoria. I don't know if you know it, a South African National Biodiversity. So I was volunteering there because I think I knew what I wanted to do. So coming here to study was to gain knowledge and experience and skills as much as I can. So when I go home, I no worry. Now I'm set for life. I have the knowledge, because you can starting farming without knowledge it will take you a lot of time. You will make a lot of mistakes. But then if you have knowledge and skills, it will be easier to move from 0 to 1, 2, 3. So because of the knowledge. So I came here in Joburg. It's funny enough because I also worked here at Randbeck. Wow. There's a nursery here called Colorwise Nursery. Yes. So I worked at Cosmo, I worked at Honeydew. So for me it was to collect knowledge, skills and experience, so that when I go home, I know this is how I should start. So
what a powerful story that you are back in the same area all these years later, which just shows that destiny works itself out in the end. When you were here all those years ago, you didn't know that you would be back here being the business owner that you are, the incredible farmer that you are, and you are in the exact same area. So it's absolutely amazing. So we know that in farming, there's so many things that a person can do. What kind of farming specifically are you doing? What are you growing? Tell us a bit about that.
I'm growing spinach. It's my cash crop. I always have it because it helps farming. For potato, it takes time. It's a long-term crop. So in farming, we have short-term crops and we also have long-term crops. So you cannot rely on long-term crops. Otherwise, you won't be able to pay your haircuts, pay electricity, stuff like that. So I always have spinach. A lot of people actually knew me from planting spinach ever since from backyard. So I'm still doing it. It was my signature crop when I started. So I'm planting spinach, I'm planting butternut, I'm planting cabbage, and I'm also doing potato. How I came about doing potato was in 2021, the Department of Agriculture connected us with Potato South Africa. They wanted young farmers to do a trial on 2 varieties of potato, which was Mondial and Valor. So I was one of the young farmers who was chosen to do that trial. So I did a trial on 50 meters by 75 meters of land. I was doing a trial for those 2 varieties of potatoes. And then on that small space, I harvested 300 bags of 10 kgs of potatoes. I can still remember it clearly.
Yes.
It was not a lot of yield for me to take to the market because I'm one person who can sell their product. I'm not only a farmer who's at the farm plowing the land and taking care of the crops. I can also sell my own product. So from backyard, I learned that from backyard because in backyard is a small space. Everything that you harvest, you can take to the market because market want quantity, So at that time, I didn't have it. So I learned from backyard to sell my own product. So with that 300 bags, I sold it from the street.
Sure, amazing.
Yeah.
You are a powerful and dynamic woman in this industry. We know that there are so many challenges that can be faced in farming, but let's get a bit into some of the challenges you faced specifically as a female in this very male-dominated industry. What are some of the challenges you faced? How have you overcome them? And just how do you keep going as a female in this industry?
I will tell you the truth now. In farming, there's the challenges that we face. They affect both women and men.
It's across the board.
It doesn't matter whether you are a man or you are a woman or you are what. the challenges are the same and they affect us the same way. It just depends on the person how they take the challenges and get up and go from there. So there are so many challenges, especially when you are a first generation farmer. Like my parents own a tractor, an old tractor. So that was only asset that I had and the behold that they did. So you can imagine I had to use what is around me. When starting, even if you pitch for funding or what, like you don't have a record to show that no one will fund you. No one will fund a business idea. So you must work, prove yourself as a female farmer. Many people don't believe in female farmers because like they believe it's a man dominated thing. So
yes.
The challenges are the same, but then it's hard for a woman to prove herself. So
absolutely. In any industry.
In any industry. So I was passionate about farming. I'm patient and I work very hard. So I had to work very hard to prove myself. So that I'm with this, I can do this, And then for other men to believe me that I'm actually farming, some of them had to visit my farm, go to my social media page to see, is this real? So before they can help you. So
yes.
now that they've seen that this one is a farmer, so they started, coming on, wanted to help and stuff like that. So it's really hard for a female farmer. And then with tractors, I didn't have knowledge about fixing the tractor. Lucky enough, I had my father and my brother to do that. So they were more on fixing the tractors and all that, because with an old tractor, it's very difficult.
Yes.
The more you grow in hectares, the more it breaks. So it's very difficult.
Yeah, and something that's important that you're mentioning is that the challenges affect men and women the same. But you would be in spaces where sometimes men don't believe that you are really the woman that is doing what you're doing. And we know that we live in a world where most resources sometimes that we need are actually in the hands of men. So how did you also navigate that space, trying to access resources from a male dominated space where they might look at you and be like, Mara, this lady, can she really do what she's saying she can do? How did you access those resources to be where you are today?
I think, when let's say this an agricultural event, like after a session, like you engage, I think most believed me when we were engaging.
Right.
So they could hear that the challenges I'm facing, they're also facing those challenges. So they became more relaxed and then they wanted to help because we were engaging on the same topics. We were on the same language, same level. So they could understand that this person is a farmer. And then, when you are a farmer and you hear a farmer crying, you really want to help that farmer because you know how hard it is to farm. It's not easy.
And what steps do you take to improve the productivity of your farm? You mentioned about some of the challenges that you face. The bigger your space, the more difficult it is for your tractor to survive.
Yeah.
How do you navigate some of those challenges and make sure that you're always being productive?
I think what helped me was the funding that I got from these organizations that I mentioned, the Lima, DBS, Potato SA, Department of Agriculture. I mean, without them, I wouldn't have access to production input, infrastructure and all that, because honestly, like I said, farming is a generational thing. Like you cannot plant a spinach today and tomorrow you are able to afford a tractor or an implement. Spinach is just for like keeping the farm active. It's not something that can give you a lot of money to buy implements and all that. But then with organizations like Potato SA and the Department of Agriculture, they were able to support with production input for potato, which is very expensive. Potato production is very expensive on its own, from seeds, chemicals and fertilizers, and the implements to actually plant potatoes and harvest them. They are very expensive. So with all these organizations coming together, helping me, they helped me to improve my production, because when the land increases, also the production increases. So I'm able to supply quantities to the market and whenever they want them, anytime. So I think the organization that I involved in my farming business have helped me to improve on my productivity and the farm in general, infrastructure and all that.
That's amazing. And you know, with every bit of growth, things are changing in the space of agriculture. How do you keep yourself up to date with the latest farming techniques? You know, you spoke a lot about the knowledge you've gained through UNISA and also your general experience from just working from a very young age. But how do you keep yourself up to date with all the new farming techniques out there?
You know, you must always be in connection and in association with farmers, because they are the ones who are always at the farm. Every challenge that they experience, you will know it from them. Like, for example, Lima to know about all the challenges, they hear it from farmers because they see it on the field. So you must always be in contact with other farmers around you or far from you. You understand? Also, these organizations, they organize trainings for farmers. You must always attend those trainings because they are very important. There are people who are doing researches out there to improve farming productivity. So it is very important for a farmer to attend those trainings because that knowledge, the research knowledge, we need it for us to improve the production in our field. So the trainings that are organized, I will advise young farmers to attend them because they are very important. The knowledge that is in those researches and all that, they will help you improve your farming activities.
Amazing. And something that we are really seeing that is making an impact as well in terms of productivity and farming activities is technology. We are in the fourth industrial revolution. Technology is really taking over so many spaces in our world, including farming. So tell us a bit about how are you using technology, or how are you keeping yourself up to date with the latest technology for your own farm?
So I always use social media to access knowledge, to market my product, and to engage with other farmers and organizations out there. I mean, this knowledge is out there anyway in the internet. So I think one must always be on the lookout for new information on social media. Google, TikTok. I mean, TikTok has opened so many knowledge. Like, it's almost free on TikTok because everyone just shows how it's done. So for me, technology is a tool that I can use to gain knowledge, to market my product, and to be recognized by other organizations or funders out there. So I use technology as my tool to expand and grow.
And I can see that your TikTok and your Facebook are some of the things that you really enjoy.
Yes.
That's a very exciting part about your work. But I also want to know, what else do you enjoy about what you do? You speak with so much excitement. You light up when you speak about farming. What else do you enjoy so much about your work?
You know, when for example, a seed of cabbage is just a small seed. You know, taking that seed and putting it on the soil and see it grow at the end, this is an end product that people can eat and enjoy. That for me is what I enjoy most. And seeing young people or old people, we also employ old people at our farm, seeing them being able to wake up every morning to go to work, and that for me is a blessing. I enjoy seeing and helping other people improve their lives because it's difficult in the communities. A lot of people are relying on grants. There are no jobs, you know, and being a young person in a village where it's a disadvantaged village where there are no jobs, you know, there are no factories like here in Joburg. Some people can afford to stay in Joburg to look for employment, but then creating that in a space where they live rent-free, you know, for me, that gives me joy every day.
And I can see that the emotion of that really pulls through, and it's showing that there is so much hope that is out there. I think people think that hope is lost when it comes to the space of unemployment in South Africa, in our country, in our, you know, rural areas, urban areas, but you are really part of something so powerful. Do you realize that? Do you see that you are part of something so powerful? Absolutely amazing. And what you are doing in that space is really incredible. And what are some of the goals as well that you have? You know, you spoke about tackling the issue of unemployment. You spoke about mentoring other people. What other goals do you have for your farm and for your community through your farm?
My goal is to be a female potato commercial farmer. That's the goal. Because I want to create an economical hub in my community, you know. Because ever since I started planting potatoes, other people can also create business, quarter business. You know how, you know, they wake up and they go to my farm, they buy potatoes and they do chips, they do quarters, and then they start business from there. So I think creating that value chain around the village and keeping the money within ourselves, that's what I want to see and grow beyond that.
You are powerful. You are amazing. And tell us a bit about commercial farming. What does it really take to become a commercial farmer? What is commercial farming for someone out there that might not know?
Commercial farming starts with land. Without land, there's no much that you can do, because you need to expand, you need to produce quantity. You know, mass production is the only way to go in farming, is the only way to make money. You know, without land, like, there's no much that you can do. And then I pray that government can really open up state farmers to young farmers, because we are still active, we are still young. You know, we can take it far. Like, rather than giving it to someone old, I'm not saying they shouldn't give to old people land. Yes. I'm saying, like, old people are already old. You know, they're not active, they're not up to date. Some of them are not up to date with the fourth industrial revolution. So giving a land to someone who's old and who's not up to date with the technology, the climate change, you know, it can be a waste of resources. So giving it to a young person who's active and actively involved in farming, it will improve our economy and create more employment. So I think opening up land for young farmers and funding young farmers on infrastructure, because you can have land, but then without infrastructure, you can't do anything. Right. Access to finance, because you have to pay workers, you have to pay electricity. Like, the three-phase electricity is very expensive. So if you don't have finance to pay for your electricity, production input, like, all that land that you will be given to is a waste.
And something that, you know, as a country, we are also working towards is really being part of the sustainable developmental goals, development goals that are associated with the United Nations. And what you're saying is exactly one of the major goals that they are targeting for the entire world, for South Africa as a whole, to say invest in the youth, give the youth infrastructure, give the youth land, give the youth finances. So it's really powerful what you are saying, that even as a country, let's align ourselves with those sustainable development goals, because at the end of the day, like you're saying, older people are getting tired. Yes. You know, there's an old farmer out there that needs to consider handing over to a Cynthia for that sustainability. And when you think about young people as well, your peers that will be, you know, taking over that baton, there are young people out there as well that will be getting into this, venturing into this. What advice do you have for them?
I think, you know, there's a lot of noise on social media. You know, social media is a good tool and it's also a bad tool. Yes. It can build or destroy you. So there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of things that young people are showing. Some are showing expensive clothes, you know, those, I'm not saying they are bad things, but then for a young farmer, if you really want to grow farming and create a generational wealth, you must focus. Right. Because if you are going to take money from your business that is supposed to grow the farm, buy production input or an implement, because we cannot always rely on grants and they are not there forever. The department can always give you grants, and then other stakeholders, they cannot always give you grants. I mean, they are not there forever for you, because there are still other young farmers coming behind you who need those grants. So you must really stay focused and know what you want, know your goals and know where you are going. You know, once all that is achieved, you will be able to afford whatever you want. Just stay focused and leave the noise on social media and focus on what you want to build for your family and for your children. So I think they must really focus, because
Absolutely. You know, one thing I love to say is it's very important to never compare your seed to someone else's tree. The same way that you as a farmer as well, you don't look at someone else's crops and feel discouraged about the seeds that you've planted. So it's a powerful message that you're giving to all of us to say, even in life, let's not look at everyone's trees on social media, the fancy things, the fancy life, and think, my seed will never grow, I'll never get there, then we rush. That's very, very powerful. And just before we close it off, I want to know the fun things now. What is your favorite farming tool? This is a very interesting question. When you think of all the tools on your farm, or even if you think back to when you were still farming in your backyard, what was your favorite farming tool?
I love touching the soil, getting dirty, and now I'm clean. So if you come to the farm, you won't even notice that I'm the farm owner. You will see me as one of the workers at the farm. I love touching the soil and playing with the soil, planting a seeds and see it grow from a seedling and up to the final product. That's what I love to do. Driving a tractor is nice and all that, but then it gets boring. But then, you know, planting and taking care of the crops, when you wake up in the morning, they are green, the sun just came up, you know, I'm able to communicate with crops. I know it's funny and it can be questionable, but then I can look at them and see when they are not okay, and then see when they are happy. So that's the best thing I love doing, touching the soil and getting dirty.
I love what you're saying, because, you know, sometimes they say even with plants, like they say if you have a pot plant, you must actually speak to it. It hears you. So you know, bringing that back up to say that your crops can actually feed off of your energy that you're giving as a farmer. So other than the soil, is there another farming tool that you would say is your favorite, that when you also have this in your hand, it just gives you that life and that passion and that excitement for farming?
The final product and the money. Because at the end of the day, I can have all the passion and all that, but then I still need money to survive and to grow the business. So having a final product like this and seeing it at the market, and then at the end of the day you are getting the money, like that is also joy. You know, all the hard work, you can see, my hard work finally paid off, because the money is in the bank. You are able to grow your business, you are able to pay people, and then, you know.
Amazing. And Cynthia, where can people find you? You spoke about social media and the exciting things you're doing. How can people follow your journey and get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me on social media. My Facebook handle is Matumi Potato Farmer, and also on TikTok is Matumi Potato Farm Girl. So we can engage from there and then take it to WhatsApp if they want to. So I also do trainings on spinach, cabbage, potato. So if anyone who's interested in potato or just want to start with small crops like your spinach, they can get in touch with me, and then we can engage more. And I also charge, because
Of course you should. So other than master classes that you're doing about potatoes and spinach, we know spinach is your favorite. Are there any other classes that you're giving, any other kind of mentorship programs that you're running, and other events that you have?
I think in terms of other events, if you want to engage more, like most people visit at the farm, then I take them through. I also work with them like this. For me, I believe that's like more hands-on than just talking, because if we just talk sometimes and you are not doing anything, you won't learn anything at the end of the day. But then if you visit at the farm and I show you all from soil to seeds and all that, like you will understand more.
Amazing. And do people just show up at the farm? Do we have to set an appointment to come to the farm? Do we send you an email? How can we, if I want to come, maybe for a week and shadow and see what you're doing and be part of everything that you're doing, how do I actually go about that?
Yeah, sometimes people just show up.
Just show up.
Like, I'm busy, we are fertilizing or we are harvesting, you know. It's a bit of, you know, sometimes they will think I'm not giving them enough attention because we are busy. I cannot leave the work because, you know, farming, we work with time. If I miss spraying tomorrow, all the crops will be affected. So I think an appointment with me is more professional than just showing up. Sometimes they show up at weekends, you know, and I need to rest. We get tired during the week. So if you get in touch with me through inbox, I will send you my contact details and we'll take it from there.
And what is one thing that you would say as we close to any young person out there, anyone that wants to get into the farming space? What is one word of encouragement you would give as a closing remark?
I will say the first day you start farming, start posting your work from there.
Got it.
Stand out, be recognized, and you'll see opportunities coming in.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Cynthia. And there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, another exciting, thrilling conversation about the power and the space of agriculture. It's so incredible to see so many young people breaking the boundaries and the barriers of what it means to be a young farmer in South Africa. My name is Tsakane Sono. Please remember to subscribe to our channel, follow our social media pages to keep this conversation going. And someday you might be an incredible young farmer whose story we would want to have shared right here on our platform. This is Young Farmer.